question is why jealousy is dangerous. First, I'm Keyshawn Martin. That's what I go by, 28 Keyshawn, YouTuber, who is just trying to make some sense of this thing that we got called life. And on this channel right here, I simply talk about my experiences in it. But today I'm talking about jealousy. And jealousy rarely announces itself loudly at first. It's not just out there. It's so quiet. It starts off like a small little ember, like a match to a forest fire. It's the jealousy is building. And first of all, before I get into the jealousy, let me talk about how jealousy is the very first crime in the Bible. The Bible talks about murder based on jealousy. So it's not something light. It's not something to antagonize somebody or to get them riled up into the hating you or something like that, or flossing on your enemies. Jealousy is dangerous, very dangerous, and it usually shows up quietly. It's kind of disguised as curiosity or concern, a passing thought about someone else's success. And it's like a subtle tightening in the chest when attention shifts away from you. It's just, a mental comparison that feels automatic rather than chosen. Because it arrives softly. Jealousy often goes unchallenged. It feels human. It even feels harmless. To most, they don't even know they under this. And that assumption is what makes jealousy dangerous. It doesn't stay small. Left unattended, it can grow roots. It reshapes perception and it distorts a person's motivation. And then it quietly alters their behavior in ways that it kind of feels justified from the inside, but looks kind of destructive from the outside. You could tell what's happening. They don't know it though. The person under this condition, it doesn't really know that they're being jealous. The danger isn't the initial feeling. It's not. The danger is what happens when jealousy becomes a lens through which reality is filtered. You see jealous, you become jealous, you see jealous. It starts to engulf everything. And at its core, jealousy is kind of like a fear response. It signals perceived loss of status, security, or a connection. The body reacts as if something valuable is being threatened, like their own sense of self-worth and ego, and all those things combined. And this anger is a result of that. The jealousy, because there's nothing you could do. That reaction triggers a vigilance. Attention narrows, the mind starts scanning for evidence that confirms the threat. Confirms that this person is better than me or have what I don't have. It is very true. Once that's confirmed and is true to that person's mind, boom, there you have it, jealousy. And once that process begins, neutrality disappears. That niceness and that good person is gone. Neutral events get reinterpreted. Innocence, interactions, they feel kind of suspicious. Other people's progress feels personal. Jealousy turns coincidence into intent, and it turns ambiguity into accusation. That shift doesn't require proof. It only requires repetition. And over time, jealousy trains the brain to look outward instead of inward. Energy that could have gone towards somebody's growth, it gets redirected into monitoring others. Now the person looking around, deciding who they better than, and who they not better than. Am I jealous of this person? I'm not jealous of this person. I'm better than them. There's no one just kind of just like, hey, I'm happy for you. No. Is out of control after that point. Like there's, what would you say? Habitual jealous people. Like they're just overly jealous, can't stop being jealous. And that progress becomes relative instead of personal. It becomes related to who they are now. Satisfaction becomes conditional now. You're not happy unless this person or this situation is, then you can relax. But that's when you just feeling yourself like I'm better than everybody. Even if you better than bums, you can get around 100 bums and you just figure you got them beat. Now you good. That's a fragile type of personality. Actually, you a shithead. That personality sucks. And that mental posture is exhausting. People living with chronic jealousy often don't describe themselves as jealous. They wouldn't even believe it. They describe themselves as frustrated, overlooked, or unlucky. The emotion hides behind stories about fairness and effort. These stories feel They feel reasonable to a point. Like, I get it. Like, I'm not, that's because they lucky. You're blessed. And then they feel what they feel. That justifies it. I can feel this way because life is victimizing me, in which that makes the pattern harder to interrupt. It's harder to break that cycle. Jealousy just doesn't affect how people see others. It changes how people see themselves. When comparison becomes constant, self-worth starts fluctuating. It's based on external outcomes. And so you're not worth what you think you're worth unless all these people are suffering. You beat all them people out and they poor. You only got $1,000, but they got $500 and you ain't jealous. You still ain't got shit, but that's the external outcomes that are reinforcing how you feel. Once a person has $1,400 and you got $1,000, it's curtains. It's over. Confidence rises and it falls depending on someone else's performance. Identity becomes unstable. At that point, you are just a look-arounder. Now you just, what are they doing? What do they have? And you just monitoring good. And so you ain't shit because when you get around people where you happy, you think you better than them. That's what's got you all relaxed today. You shouldn't even be invited to the party. That instability creates anxiety. Instead of focusing on personal direction, attention stays locked on benchmarks set by others. That the question quietly shifts from, what am I building, to why are they ahead of me? That shift erodes the motivation. Effort begins to feel pointless when success feels like a competition, and especially when that competition is already being lost. The danger deepens though, and it deepens when jealousy enters relationships. Have mercy. You can do nothing. That's the most dangerous person. It's a jealous, weak person, insecure person. In close relationships, jealousy often disguises itself as protectiveness or care. Concern turns into control, and questions turn into suspicions. Boundaries blur. Trust erodes. Without a single dramatic event, the trust is gone. Just because their insecurity and their jealousy. The jealousy narrows that emotional space. Partners feel watched instead of understood. Conversations become guarded. Small conflicts carry disproportionate weight. Over time, emotional safety quickly disappears. Gone. Even when jealousy is never acted on, it's like that. It changes the tone. It affects how words land. It alters body language, and it introduces tension into moments that should feel relaxed. And you know this. When this jealous shithead starts tripping, and then you just be like, man, you ruined the whole party. You tripping over nothing, fighting over nothing, and it's just your insecurities just take over. It's horrible. That tension accumulates. It builds up. Jealousy also distorts a person's memory. Understand? Because they for them to stay stable in a fragile ego, they gotta remember themselves as being a good person in this. They gotta remember themselves as doing no wrong. Past events get rewritten to fit the current insecurities they got. Neutral moments get retroactively reframed. And then they get reframed as warning signs. Imagine. This rewriting reinforces the belief that the threat was always there. They would always had a reason to be jealous. And once that narrative solidifies, trust becomes difficult to restore. The same pattern appears in professional environments too. At the job, especially at the job, where some have more than others, or some do more than others, or love more than somebody else's little input. Somebody else's input. Jealousy at work often hides behind ambition. It does. Someone else's promotion feels like a personal slight. Recognition given to others feel like evidence of being undervalued. Now I got my reason to be jealous. Now I'm on them. Instead of motivating, instead of real motivating improvement, jealousy fuels that person's resentment, and they gonna be lost. You don't even want to be cool with someone like that. Once they jealous, they are never a good people. They bad people forever because they gonna turn it back to that. And like I said in the beginning, jealousy is the first crime is based on that. They'll hit you with a rock. They don't give a shit. So you got to be very careful with that. Resentment poisons people's collaboration ability to work together. That resentment, that jealousy is cold. It's over after that. People stop sharing ideas. Cooperation turns into quiet competition. A one-sided competition. Not people going back and forth like, look, I got you. You got me. I'm jealous of you. Jealous of me. No. It's always one-sided. The feedback gets interrupted defensively. Instead of just talking and being cool, they got to defend their ego, defend their self. Opportunities get missed because attention is split, and it's split between the task and the comparison. The workplace becomes emotionally unsafe because of this jealous person. And over time, jealousy erodes a person's reputation. The passive aggression replaces the professionalism. Bitterness leaks into all the conversations, and others sense this tension, so they don't even want to work with them. Even if they can't name it, they know that this is bad people. The energy just bad. You already know what I'm talking about. It's not to say like, I couldn't tell this person is jealous. You know when they start talking, they bring up stuff, they just jealous of this one. And that ain't cool. And if they cool with you and they jealous of them, that means they think they better than you. You safe. You don't trigger it. That social cost often goes unnoticed until relationships are already damaged. It's already done. Now you be like, hey man, we shouldn't have brought this dude around. Still, another danger of jealousy is how it justifies behaviors that wouldn't otherwise align with the person's values. Like the snooping and the backstabbing feels acceptable. Withholding support feels deserved. Celebrating someone else's failure feels oddly satisfying to them. Those behaviors rarely feel wrong in the moment. They feel corrective. Like that person deserved it for being so lucky or blessed. I could sleep at night now that we attacked him. Jealousy reframes harm as fairness. That moral shift matters. Once actions feel justified, it's over. Accountability fades. People begin excusing behaviors they would criticize in others. And integrity erodes quietly. It's gone. The internal conflict that follows, that creates stress. The stress builds up. It's too much, hard to deal with. Still, jealousy also has a physiological cost. Chronic comparison and perceived threat, that keeps your nervous system activated. Keeps the nervous system activated. The body, cortisol stays elevated. The sleep quality declines. Emotional regulation weakens. The body carries the burden of mental fixation. And over time, chronic stress linked to jealousy, that adds to fatigue. It adds to your irritability, the reduced immune function, and the mind feels busy even during rest. You just are suffering from this jealous piece of shit. Recovery becomes harder. It does. That physical toll often gets attributed to workload or circumstance, not the emotional patterns. Yet another layer of danger, it comes from how jealousy narrows the possibility. When attention stays locked on others, creativity suffers. Overthinking declines. Risk feels threatening because failure would confirm their insecurity. Safe choices, they feel preferable. The safe choices. That safety stalls your growth. You can't be nothing because you want to just, stay out of harm's way, out of haters' way. Jealousy doesn't inspire mastery. It inspires imitation. Imitate or avoidance. People either copy what they envy or withdraw entirely because it's just too much. And I respect that for you being jealous and you just want to get away. But neither leads to authentic progress. And authentic progress is going to require some focus. Focus, though, it disappears when your attention is divided. When you think about them and you trying to think about what you need to do and all those different things, That's when the attention is just out of there. There's also a long-term identity cost. People consumed by jealousy slowly lose clarity about what they actually want. Desires get shaped by opposition instead of intention, and goals become reactive. Living reactively erodes purpose. Purpose requires direction, independent of comparison, independent, separate from that shit. Jealousy thrives in environments where worth feels scarce. When success feels limited, someone else's gain feels like a personal loss. All in their feelings. And that scarcity mindset intensifies competition, but still, and then it amplifies threat perception. It builds up what you think is against you. You see enemies everywhere. You're losing, jealous, jealous, jealous. They got what they got. I cannot get over this. Abundance thinking weakens jealousy, though. Once you understand, and this is the abundance thinking is when we was young, they say, count your blessings. Okay, if you full suffering and you losing and they better than you and you a bum, maybe go feel your feelings. Jealousy might make you feel better. But if you got enough and you got everything, you just don't want to see this person have that and they got something and you want it, that you need to count your blessings. Because abundance doesn't mean pretending everyone can have the same outcome. Abundance means recognizing that someone else's success doesn't block your own path. Different paths can coexist at the same time without conflict. I can get mine, you can get yours. But jealousy resists that idea. It doesn't let people live. Still, another danger appears when jealousy goes unacknowledged. This is one of the biggest dangers. Suppressed jealousy doesn't disappear. It leaks. It slowly leaks. See, and what happens, sarcasm replaces honesty. Withdrawal replaces communication, and distance from that person replaces connection. The emotion part of it finds expression whether it's named or not. You're going to show that emotion. It's going to leak in some kind of way when that person is just way too jealous. Still, naming jealousy isn't comfortable. It requires humility if you understand that you're jealous, to say that you're jealous, to even recognize that you are jealous. It requires admitting that you are insecure. And that admission feels risky because it exposes vulnerability. And exposing that vulnerability allows jealousy to operate unchecked. And unchecked jealousy can harden. And over time, jealousy turns into bitterness, that dirty bitterness. Bitterness is heavy and it's slower to leave. It shapes a person's worldview and it replaces your hope with cynicism, with bad thinking from bad people. Instead of they don't see a positive outcome, all they see is terrible things because the terrible things need to happen for them to stop feeling jealousy. That shift changes how life feels. Bitterness narrows empathy. Compassion fades. Other people's joy feels irritating rather than inspiring. And life itself becomes something to adore rather than engage with. That emotional flattening is dangerous. Very dangerous. And jealousy, it also interferes with gratitude. The gratitude I'm talking about, because comparison crowds out appreciation. When you're looking at what someone else has, it's hard for you to see what you have. And you need to be appreciative for what you do have. In that, achievements lose meaning because someone else has more. The progress feels insufficient. You ain't got enough. Gratitude requires attention to what is present. And jealousy pulls attention towards what is missing. What is missing, not what you have. When you're jealous, you just only can see what you don't have, what you might lose, or what this person might gain. You don't say, damn, I'm lucky to be where I'm at. And living in that gap creates a chronic dissatisfaction. Every single day, you're just not happy. Still, another overlooked danger is how jealousy impacts decision-making. When choices are driven by comparison, alignment suffers. People pursue goals that don't fit them simply to keep up. and burnout follows. Burnout itself deepens resentment, and resentment feeds jealousy. It is like sugar to jealousy. As soon as you resent something, you don't like it, you don't want it to be good, you want it to fail. The cycle just constantly reinforces itself over and over again. But breaking that cycle starts with understanding jealousy as information rather than instruction. As information, not something to do and be handled by the jealous, but it's information like, hey man, why are you thinking like this? You shouldn't feel jealous. You should feel better, right? The feeling signals unmet needs or threatened values. It doesn't dictate your behavior of what you should be doing. You should say, hey, why are my needs not met? Why do I feel this way? And interpreting jealousy correctly, that was what matters the most. So instead of asking why someone else has something, the more useful question is what that reaction reveals about my own desires or your own fears. That shift redirects attention inwardly, and self-reflection weakens jealousy. Action based on clarity dissolves it completely. And another important distinction is between envy and jealousy. They cousins. They're not the same. They might even be brothers. But envy recognizes desire without assuming loss. It don't think you lost. It's just it wants what you got. Jealousy is different. Jealousy assumes it being a threat where you can lose it. Someone's going to take what you think is yours. Envy can motivate growth. I envy, but I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go grind for mine. Jealousy motivates defense. Let me block this. Stop you from getting yours because what you're trying to get is mine. I'm jealous. And that defense limits your ability to expand, to grow in the direction you need to. Understanding that difference helps reframe emotional responses. And jealousy often intensifies when people feel stuck. Lack of progress makes comparison louder and louder. That movement quiets it though. Even small steps can restore you. And what happened is it reduces the threat perception of what you feel someone is about to take from you. And when people feel capable of influencing their own outcomes, other people's success feels less dangerous. Confidence grounded in effort stabilizes that emotion. I'm good. That's what they say. That I'm good. You got your, I'm good. I'm going to get mine. My time will come. The jealousy loses leverage. When your self-trust grows, when you know you're going to do it, you don't feel that no more. Self-trust comes from consistency. And consistency requires focus. It requires disengagement from constant comparison. That disengagement is not denial. That disengagement is discipline. I'm separate. That's what it is. I'm about me. Jealousy will still arise occasionally. That's human. That's love. That's life. The danger lies in letting it steer behavior and perception unchecked. When you just because there's levels to it. It's not just you a little jealous. No, it's level 100 jealousy. It's level 90 jealousy. It's people full-blown jealous. They can't sleep at night. It's difficult. Choosing not to follow jealousy doesn't mean you're suppressing it. It does not mean that. It means observing it without letting it decide what's going to happen. That skill takes practice. Practice, like a real practiced restraint, that protects all your relationships. It protects all situations. It preserves your mental health. It supports long-term growth. Jealousy, unchecked, corrodes from the inside. It isolates, drains energy that could have been used to build something meaningful. Of course, because you're looking around, you are a round looker, deciding who you better than, deciding you should be jealous or not. Understanding its danger is not about a moral judgment. It's about self-preservation. That's why you want to do that. Because jealousy is dangerous. And emotions shape behavior. Your behavior is going to shape your outcome. And over time, outcomes, they shape your identity. And allowing jealousy to dominate that chain carries a high cost. You will make some costly mistakes, my friend. You will do stuff and you will risk it all to get one person, to beat one person, and you can lose everything. You'll lose all the things you should have been grateful for. And learning to recognize it early, it's going to work wonders. You will interpret accurately and redirect his energy. And that's going to change everything for you. Jealousy doesn't have to be eliminated to be disarmed. It only needs to be understood well enough not to run the show. Not here. And that understanding protects peace. It protects your progress and connection in ways most people don't realize until they already lost them. Being jealous. Like I said, jealousy is the first crime in the Bible. If you are a person who is not jealous and you're dealing with someone who is jealous with you, stay away from them. And if you do got to deal with them, make them feel better about themselves. Treat them like shit because they don't deserve it. And if you must floss on them. But understand, you creating a lifelong enemy. You talking to somebody who will never feel better until you lose. That's why I say disengage. Because you'll have a jealous person at home trying to plot against you, trying to stop you. You got a coworker, a manager, you got a boyfriend. They will not stop until they feel better. You are the apple of their eye. Avoiding them is like, stick to what you got to do. Handle your business, because that's more important. Fuck them. You don't gain nothing by beating them. You don't gain nothing by being better than somebody. You just gain feelings amongst or against a person who lost all their feelings already. Leave it alone. Keep it pushing. The reason I say that is because jealousy